Maybe I don't do Monday night. That's
All right.
No problem.
Nobody.
I spoke to him this afternoon.
We're just running late, but let's. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the United States.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, so we wanted to just let everyone know we got some sad news yesterday that a former colleague passed away, Paul Houlihan, who was our chief building inspector for here for a good 20 years. It's here when I started, and he was well regarded and a hard worker and loved the village. And it's really a tragedy. And wife Lee, our heart goes out to her and her family. And I don't know if anybody has any particular memory they wanted to mention about it.
He had a great sense of humor, and I remember when I first came on as a trustee, whenever there's a new board member, it's an educational help for building inspectors, lawyers, and other department heads. I would come in to call and ask for advice on something, and he said, "Ralph, Sammy Bagadillas comes in once, says, you gonna do this?"
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was very tolerant. And had a
Yeah.
good sense of humor.
He always used to remind me that, whatever you do, I have to do it for everyone else. So even though the news today seems like that's not such a big deal, if everybody wanted to do it, then it would be a big deal. And he,
All when I got hired at down long before.
yeah,
1981.
yeah, that's right. He came to us from the town.
Yeah, we'll work together until he retired.
You love the job.
You would have
Get him for that.
He used to say, go off with some ideas like the movie night on the Great Lawn and what was the other one? Oh, turning Barry's property into a park. And then he'd say, well, whenever I tell you to come up with a bad idea, it always turns out it works out pretty great. Yes. Anyway, I'm gonna call Lee tomorrow just to see if there's anything we can do to help her.
information on the website.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes the 2 to 6 at O'Shea's and Hampton Bays.
All right, let's start our work session. The first item on the agenda is the application from the Chamber of Commerce for the use of those property, for the Main Street for Winterfest. I see Sam and Liz are here, and we already did approve it, and the subsequent, request to away the, and so then open container response to that. But we just wanted you to come in and talk to us about the specifics. We don't actually have the specifics, just so we're aware for the police department, are you having the person buggy, or you have the
petting zoo, so cold for animals and unpredictable. So in planning, there will be no more than 4 food trucks, but of those 4 food trucks, one would be Michael Brunetti, which is really a trailer. So that would be it. And then there are 8 additional vendors for food products that would be in a 10 by 10 pop-up. The mapping would be very similar to what we did for Fall Fest. There are 3 to 4 vendors that would request SLA permits. That's Salt and Loft, Flora and Fauna, the West Hampton Beach Brewing Company, and Michael Brunetti. They are well aware of what their responsibilities are as far as that goes.
When I recall signing this response, just so you know.
Well, because they should be submitting it. We don't handle that. They're on their own for that. If they don't submit, then they won't get the permit. And they'll just take them off of our list as far as providing that. TAC Protective Services will once again provide us with 4 of his guys to patrol the perimeter of the event from 11 to 4. So that's pretty much where that goes. The bouncy and the inflatables, I provided this with the map. They'll be, one will be outside of Beach Bakery and the other one will be outside of Point 32 Investment Partners because they were the sponsors of the music will be at the corner of Lovers, not blocking the street. It will be to the side where the outlet is in front of Douglas Elliman. So there shouldn't be any hazard there. The placement of all of the vendors will be to the curb lines on both sides, the north and side of the street. So again, the middle lane will be available for emergency pass.
And not, closing whoever's name is.
Well,
There's
there's,
anything in the park.
there's really nothing going on in the park, so yeah,
Nothing going on in the tree,
the tree lighting and the menorah lighting.
but not during the day.
No, not during the day. In the day, there will be absolutely, I did that also when I presented to Liz, I gave her like a fact sheet. There are no activities that will be taking place off of Main Street during that 11 to 4 time period. I know there was some concern for the pet parade, but as we've done with the other festivals, we do not permit the vendors to leave until the street is officially open at 5. So for that pet parade starting at 4:30 and going up Main Street to the Village Green, there should not be any hazards. The vendors are well aware that the street closure, and it basically takes them an hour to break down anyway. There's 3 food trucks, they'll just have to hang tight. Yeah, because it takes them a while to chase down to. I saw that, yeah, so we saw it at Fall Fest, I believe you were there with us, so, that's at your discretion. We follow your lead, if you think it should be later, or we take direction from later, so, that should present it as well.
And then Michael bring it in, that's the song, but they'll have to be in.
He will have him be at his location, but he'll be in the corner of the festival. He'll be next to the he usually is. Yeah, right by Burner, but down on that end. So would be Brunetti.
Yeah, you can,
Oh yeah, absolutely. He's well aware of that, and that's
I'm definitely pretty sure about that.
yeah. And if you look at the map, you'll see in the map where he's located. He's within.
For the garbage pickup, I think.
Yeah, and we do winter buses will take the cans. We will have the cans brought over to Glover's to the far corner of the parking lot, and then winter buses will find it pick up the emergency day or Monday.
Hands with a, perfect. I think it worked.
We didn't have any complaints, so we are happy it worked. Trust me.
Thought I figured it out. Form, get everything out. It'll take a couple times, that's usual.
Trial and error, right?
Yeah,
I just had one question.
Yes.
With the tree light.
Okay, so Father Javinsky is coordinating that, but we thought this year, last year there were a lot of complaints from the residents that they felt it was too long, it was too dark in the park, and on and on and on. So I spoke with Tom Glover, and we'll be coordinating your fire truck. We thought if you came at like 5:10, you could give about 20-30 minutes for photos, and then Mayor Morgan can say a few words, and then the clergy from the various houses of worship. We can probably hopefully get the tree lighting done by about 10 to 6.
You're gonna light the tree after Santa comes?
Because
She
people
said
were,
we.
I know,
I just, I know, it doesn't make sense.
unfortunately, then people will not stay. That's the problem we had last year. You lose folks if the festival is over at 4, and then you're waiting for 2 hours for a tree lighting. We lose people, and people are just leaving. we were overwhelmed with complaints. People said Santa should come first, there should be time for the kids to take pictures, and that Santa should be there for the tree lighting, because what is a tree lighting without Santa, and on and on and on. So,
It's,
I just need to know what time.
I said he will get you there. He will give us more talkies, and
We had a discussion last night, there's gonna be a new entrance.
Okay.
It'll get done by then.
I heard it's exciting. Don't let it out though. We want some kind of surprise factor.
No. I see you there. You know, let's see, 2027, am I? My grows.
Just standing over there.
Anybody have any other questions? Especially you.
what time are you gonna start? Becky's coming.
The pyramid, I believe we had 2 hours before, so
No.
and and how did you feel about the way we had the vendors enter on the one end going?
Yeah. Much easier.
That was much easier, so we'll just keep it. So we'll come in off of Proton, same thing, check it, and we'll send out again placards, and hopefully they'll use them this time. And the ones that did it really sped it along.
Yeah, I think I like.
Exactly.
My guys,
Okay.
I.
Okay. We'll do that.
Well, we're all looking forward to it, and we wish you luck, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
And we'll send an updated schedule. I know Father Chris was working on some of the details, so we'll send something more concrete for the tree lighting as soon as we have it.
No horse and buggy though.
He was booked. He was booked. Lillian tried her hardest. Honestly, her heart's broken that there's no horse and buggy.
We
But
did have it a couple of years, and it was so fun.
I know, and then last year it COVID. So
Yeah.
that didn't work out well for us.
That's right.
Great. Well, we wish you the best.
Well, thank you, and thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
For your time to do this for our community, really.
That's what we're about, right? That's what we're all here for, so. Alrighty, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the next item on the agenda is, we're gonna review the marina rates for 2024. I don't think we'll increase the rate for,
I checked together, and unfortunately, you might be for the rate. Last time you could rate 2020.
because we can double the rates now, because we just have a vote in the arena.
So I would think
Yeah, 2020.
$5 for the seasonal $5 rate increase. You have a question?
What, 10?
10.
And
10.
Do it, Ralph.
you can afford a boat, you can pay the $10.
$10 more.
$10
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
We're still getting a good deal.
Still paying for that what a marina is.
That's. A lot of people get still a good deal.
yeah.
While you're at it. But Ralph, what about the electric? When we talking about that last year, did any?
Yeah, I looked
get
over the
adjusted?
electric. This year, we made a little money on the electric. So I was surprised. It must be about a group rate, I guess. And in combination with the fact we had a relatively mild winter, those are the things that heat up.
Right. Yeah, it's true.
So,
Yeah.
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 So we need to protect ourselves for potentially bad winter.
Yeah.
Most electricity
Yeah.
could go through the roof.
But what about the trainings? We increased those last year, so probably
yeah, and
pick
our
them up again. Not well.
competition is.
Yeah.
We have to keep our price under in order to get tracking in.
Right.
Because of our access to the marinas, not to those.
Plus, a lot of these other marinas have swimming pools, tennis courts, restaurants, other amenities right on premises, so it's tough.
You're not comparing apples and apples on these things.
Tough, right, we The treasure right here was marines. Short walk away, better restaurants.
So that's, yeah, it's true.
Well, that's,
We've been pushing that. The thing, we've been pushing that. We actually, it's helped. It's helped. Like we got a few extra things.
Yeah.
You know, Dr. Barlett on it. Those really are good.
Anybody else?
she broke down $85 on it.
Okay, well, maybe we're gonna have croquet on there or something to do. Come on, does anybody have a, it's getting on the same.
Yes. Just sit here and answer the question. Go check the maintenance room. Yeah, might be something over there.
Well, you're next on the agenda.
With the marina, they get that.
Oh,
You don't know there's some yet.
I'll call and remind them that once it's on the work session in January, yeah.
okay, that's good. So anybody else, any other comments? So the next item on the agenda is your update playground plan, because, you know, it was, Max made a nice presentation, but then we all looked at it individually and we all had some comments for him individually, which you've done something with.
Sort of just consolidated a lot of the, most of them are relatively minor. There were some design questions and concerns, but it's after speaking with some of the trustees that we were able to address a lot of the, questions and concerns with that.
Mine was, it was, seemed a little crowded, so you're gonna remove one of the 4 tables.
Right, which I agree with, is, also provide the savings as well, so I think that was my idea.
Maybe, I don't know, more shading over the slide. I don't know if that was something that they could work on with the
They
sales.
did look into that. They won't have enough room because it'll actually go beyond the fence based on the size of the fence. But again, that one slide that you're seeing, I would put up, the one slide you're seeing is only gonna be in the sunlight in the morning. In the afternoon, it won't be direct sunlight anymore.
Oh, there was concern about that.
The spinning, right,
Spinning.
so we, that was one of the concern, well, that was one of the bigger concerns was the Burke Rev 8 spinner. Ironically, that's their most popular item. The kids seem to love it. The village of Port Jeff has had it there for about 6.5 years now, and they've had 0 injuries on it. They've actually had to replace the ropes on it because they've gotten worn out from the kids using it so much.
I know, we were being a little worried about it.
They were all valid, concerns, but I think once we started researching it a little bit, it is an engineered designed toy, accessory. It is, signed off by a professional engineer, so.
I just have to say my piece.
Yeah, good, I'm glad you do.
When I first saw it, it was marginal, but when in our meeting, I saw that they have ropes to climb on.
Yeah.
So there's kids climbing on ropes from the outer, that are attached from the outer edge to the central pole or whatever. There's kids underneath that, potentially playing. There's kids underneath, kids on top, and it's spinning.
Yeah.
It just, I'm old. It's just a safety issue to me. And admittedly, it's like you said, it's
Yeah.
safe, that they created all that kind of stuff. But I have things that I say that people think are fine, like horse. Let's leave it at that. I have no concerns with the ropes, kids, risks, twists, turns, going. I doubt they could fall through, but
Anybody could fall through anything, and you could take a nose dive off the top of the slide if you wanted.
Well, that's true, that's true.
Right.
We're looking at
all
this
those
one
things.
thing. could happen anywhere in the.
And I think that's where we get the content from was, yes, it is a little more. Straight, actually, it's great for it, but it's, the whole playground slash park is the entirety is to spark creativity, imagination. I think that's one of the items that they like in those things, because it's just something different than what they're normally used to seeing. They're not the same spinners that we had when we were kids, that you can launch your best friend off of about 40 feet. If you got a really good run and start on the thing. Those don't exist really anymore. They're not allowed, it's very dangerous. These two have, barriers that limit the speed of it, and it can only push it as fast as that person can push it, so. It can hold up to 25 kids, so you're not gonna be able to push it as fast as you think, that much weight on it, the more weight, the slower it goes.
That's my whole thing, concern, this thing is. It was designed originally as a outlet park, which is more for the younger kids. Once the older kids find out about that, start coming on there, declining on, now you're gonna have a mixture of the older kids. You're gonna end up with middle school kids on there and the younger 3, 4, 5-year-old. And as far as that's not a good mix. You know, they find out about that thing, they can climb on it, ropes and hangs and everything else like that. The older kids.
Matt, does that seem to happen?
What?
That this particular thing attracts older kids?
Actually, it attracted me to go on it because I'm so curious to see how the thing works.
Well, I know you like to say
Yeah, because so much of that's
it's like it's means I'm not, yeah.
Can you?
yeah, see, I can share it.
That's my only thing about it is, not per se against it, but the idea of, are we getting away from the toddler part?
Well, that's the
And
concept.
getting into a playground,
This is going,
there's a difference.
when we designed it, it's more actually for like 3 to 12. So we encompass more of it instead of just being up to 5, because 5 really limited the amount of people that could use it. And we were trying to, we only have one playground space in the village. Yes, it's the school district, but people can't use it during school hours, so it really limits the amount of use for private. And a lot of people, it's our stable moms or stable dads and babysitters and stuff like that, that want to go to these playgrounds during the day. They don't want to go out during the day. So this was why we tried to cram as much as we could into such a small pocket, because people didn't have anywhere else to go. That's it. So I didn't want to limit it to just a certain couple items, and I didn't want it to be so. It gets kind of follows a theme also as well. That's all how it's tied into each other. So I said, we have one space. Let's get as much as we can into it. Let's invite as many people as we can, because it's going to it's light and so.
Yeah. What we did do was change the graph
Right.
from the poured surface to the squares, and you can replace them as needed.
Yeah, and that had about a 35,000 savings for that. So
So we should hear about the grant within the next month too.
I'm trying to see if I can find some other pictures.
So really, it's the only issue is coming down to this one.
Right. Yeah. And it's a big. So I know one of the questions was maybe we could scale it back and add things later on. The problem is that property is surrounded by houses on 3 sides. So you only have one access side. Once the stuff's installed, you can't install things past it on the other side. So it's kind of install it now or never. I'm not saying it's going to be done, but then you're removing stuff to place stuff back in, because it's only 100 by 40 or 100 by 60. It's relatively small. When you actually start laying stuff out, it's real tight, real quick. But I know that was one of the questions. So that was the
That's what the garage.
My sense, but Steve's comment, I don't even know what you're talking about in terms of machines, that may be perfectly appropriate. But yeah, there's something wrong with middle school kids and toddlers. I have a 3-year-old granddaughter, and I was in that toddler park with her when she was barely 3. And a bunch of kids came through, like about 10 years old, 12 years old. And it's a little intimidating, both for the parents and for the little kids when they take over the apparatus. So they don't mix very well.
My take is err on the side of caution and keep it toddler and, you know, we have our own challenges in finding places for older kids. You know, that's a whole different conversation. We've talked about skate parks and things like that. Um, but I think, you know, it's much simpler to scale it back and keep it cautious. Are these things a real problem? Probably not. I don't think. You know, there's data on it, but
The teenagers
you
do
know,
go back there at night, you know.
yeah, and you know what? The teenagers are going to go on the slides at night. They're going to go on all the kids stuff at night. But
Never gonna stop them.
no, you'll never stop it. But
Oh, that's an interesting idea.
Such and such time is able to be played on, and after a certain hour, it gets locked.
Well, I mean, the playground itself could be locked.
Yeah, not even that, they have, it's apparatus, it can't be just put a lock on it.
I suppose you
And
could.
you
I
can't
mean,
go spin then,
yeah.
it's
Yeah, I agree.
But why go, right, that's an issue with everybody trying to do.
I'm just trying to say, because everybody's worried about after hours, kids are going back, there, so have to have a stupid thing that's locked. And then it's not operational, I mean, that's it.
If the older kids are on there at 8 o'clock in the evening, all day.
It's like, yes, but it's like,
I have videos
Is
here.
that ever?
That's, Matt has a.
I wish I could, that's the actual, but you can have a video. I wish I could get it.
Live.
It's only for a couple seconds, but getting a video.
See, they're hanging on to the rope.
It's not really spinning.
yes,
It's not, I tried to get it faster, but
Yeah,
that's not it, though, that's a good. That. But in the beginning of the video, it's really not, it's, I promise.
Just because you won't go on it doesn't mean.
That's as fast as it goes. It's not even looking around.
Ralph, what if I go on it with you? I'll hold your hand.
Thanks for, it's a fun thing for the kids to play.
It is by far the most popular item.
But where the little ones are, you know, 4-year-olds can make, it looks like they're
Again,
spinning it.
it's a, you know, it's an issue of, you know, they're already on that, how they got, I'm not gonna say how they. Like, I believe that the older kids aren't gonna push their way onto it, but
Where do we lie with liability? Like, so we have this spinny thing. What's the difference between that and a slide? Same thing, right? Some kid lines up. Also.
An appropriate event designs the equipment that actively reasonably, I'm not sure what's the difference. But if, you know, I mean, if a kid is hurt or a parent is hurt or a teenager is hurt on it, you could be sued and you have insurance.
And we have insurance and they point to the fact that it's a reputable vendor that's warranted.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to go out there and just hire a handyman and put something together.
engineer plan, one of the largest playground manufacturers in the United States.
So it's hard to.
Kind of rotated and installed.
That's about the best you can do.
It's not as bad.
One time on it, we could.
Okay, you're right.
Yes, you're right. People plan it, we run into a problem with it, that's a lot, definitely. Better look to install the apparatus now than
You
there.
don't take the barrier out of it. Hold it in place.
Yeah.
Biggest issue we can focus on is the kids riding a bicycle on the sidewalk, and feel is the people making U-turns, they go down Main Street.
Well, that's against the law.
We could do that, that's more of a concern of mine than other kids riding in bicycles, doing wheelies down sidewalk, stuff like that, so they need to be reprimanded. You can't do that, because somebody's gonna get hurt wheeling by. And the biggest thing, other people don't make a U-turn, they're going middle of Main Street, they make a hard left, make it up to park. Like beats that, it's.
It should be just go around in circles, around in circles. Well,
So I just look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good.
Hold on.
All right, the next item is a proposed code change that Brad, and we did it very brief. Here it is, it's just adding section to our code. We allow the administrative contractors' offices in the downtown, in the B1 and the B2, not the Hamlet parcels. And, but they're pretty innocuous uses. They're not allowed to have vehicles, right?
Not allowed to have oversized commercial vehicles, they're not allowed to have equipment or materials, either, of course, not outside, but not inside as well. It's also subject to special permit. The, the thought being, the idea of the Hammond commercial, of course, is to transition out of the B1 downtown to more residential uses. We have, architects and attorneys in the HC, and the question was put forth, like, one of our builders who really does have administrative offices and doesn't need a yard, doesn't need, what's the difference between them, like Vickers' office you're all familiar with, and
Bureaus office.
Rivera's office. I felt like it still fit in, because you do have the limits of not having the commercial equipment, and our, in this particular village at least, the builders we have, they do have fairly extensive administrative offices that is just, scheduling inspections, meeting with clients. It's not for equipment or trucks or anything like that. We've had, for years now, we've had it in the downtown, and I don't think we've ever had an issue with oversized trucks or equipment or noise or, it doesn't seem to be any different from other professions with, luckily, because of where we are, our builders are pretty respectful.
So it's not, we're not changing the zoning, so that would mean, we would have to look at the comprehensive plan, right, to make sure they mesh, but this is just a change of use in a particular zone.
Yes, put it up for a public hearing and see it. I think it's consistent with the goals of the HC, which again are not supposed to be loud, late night type occupancies. They're supposed to be able to blend in with the residential that's closest to them. And again, you're talking about very normal business hour type uses and clerical staff and maybe an owner or a couple sites who comes in once a week or so or something. It's
It's an office.
it's a
Yeah.
Yeah, the, this particular type of office.
our industry here is developed. It's attorneys, it's architects, it's these builders, and they're all kind of in the same business. Why do we limit that particular? The idea was we limited because we didn't want the oversized trucks and noise and
But I think,
materials.
but we can put the limits on the other end to make sure that there is no.
That's already a condition.
It's already the condition.
We haven't seen it. We had seen it in the other zones. We would say, I don't think it's a good idea. It really hasn't been an issue.
Well, if we do have any that come up, I don't even know. Or zoning district. Actually.
Yeah, four different small ones.
Yeah, that's what I mean, but not big together there's a lot, but each unit one is a lot, there's more.
Well, if everybody's, thinks it's something to consider, let's schedule a public hearing if anybody wants to, if anyone has any comments about it. Is there enough time to do it for December?
Yeah.
So
I can see.
All right, thank you. Right. The next item is another proposed code change regarding excavations, which we talked about a prior work session. Brad had drafted a proposed code that would, there's some properties in the village, and I'm not going to say which one, but some of them have projects going on, and they've just left, and there's big mountains of dirt in the residential area down there. Well, there's another one. Or there's like rings of, for drainage rings, or maybe a piece of equipment, and just years gone by, and the code, we didn't think the code allowed us to do anything, so we wanted to give it some teeth. The more we talked about it at the work session, and then with Steve, and Brad, to discuss, things like the demolition permit already might more of the ability to do something there. We should tweak the building permit, but why don't you wanna tell us what you think about the demolition permit?
The demolition permit. Brad, you can.
Yeah, the demolition permit. There's a lot of paperwork at the beginning to get the permit issued. It's two steps. Dig it down, I inspect the hole, and then you backfill the hole, grade it, and seed it. It's supposed to be vegetated or stabilized first then.
Because the problem is, so that they do that, they just demolish, but then they don't.
They have to go through this. No, that's good thing.
My hand.
Yeah, right? You need sippy cups? Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, so that's the problem with the demolition permit, is that they get it.
Yeah. Grant a letter.
Yeah, we'll try to get them to respond. We have some.
And then if they don't take it, we can enforce it. They're in violation of zoning code. We have two ways to enforce it. And we can bring a, so.
But it's the 6-month permit, right? So if after the 6 months are up and the permit expires, they haven't done it.
Yeah, it doesn't get closed out. If it's not, what happens a lot of times, is they're waiting on a new permit or a site permit. There's not a rushing after them, because they don't want to fill in something and dig it out again. But on some of these where they stall out and maybe they're not pursuing their development, it's a little frustrating to look at what looks like a construction site that doesn't move anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I think we need to do something about it.
That's what this is.
yeah, I think Steve and I were that was a rough draft. Steve got a chance to look at it. We kind of kicked it around. I have some tweaks I believe we're going to add to it and then finalize it, send it back over.
The concept is, I think is good.
But if the permit expires after
This
6
one
months.
deals with the building permit. The demolition permit is a separate item, already has enough teeth to do something.
No, but if they have to clean it up before the permit expires, if they renew the permit, what if they keep renewing the permit?
Yeah.
The demolition permit?
Yeah.
After they've already demolished it, he's
Yeah.
not gonna let them go, he's gonna have to close it out. I mean, what's the justification for renewing a demolition permit when the demolition is complete? They just haven't cleaned it up.
They haven't cleaned it up, so they want more time to clean it up. And then they,
Give that, there's 30 days. I mean,
But you have the time to do it now, do it, that's it done. Like, we're talking about it on a place I made, the eyesore, whatever the place.
all right, that's a building, so you demolished it.
They don't do it next time before. Another, that place every year, that place is the demolition thing, that's not. That's the thing, I'm just thinking, you take a place that you talk about, that whole place, that's, you have a big little gas station. But not the one with the rest of it.
did you? Yes.
Right, but with a property like that, like, they're not, it's not a demo permit.
Just saying that.
They're waiting for us to build, but it's Department of Health that they're waiting for, so how do we enforce that?
Well, we do have the unsafe structure lighted property section. Corner restaurant. Again, that one we always felt there was good faith effort to get it done. I'm not trying to be punitive, it's just the ones that sit around and spin
If
wheels.
it's sitting up.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I agree too, just, I'm just
Worry.
trying to think.
Well, we can hit those with property maintenance.
Don't you, and they, people down there, guy.
But the building permit is different from the demolition because that's gonna have to get revised, that code section.
Yep.
But you definitely-
Well, Brett, when I spoke about it, you notice you have a copy of the Brad.
Yeah.
Suggested the tweak. Brad suggested enforcement provision, and what I thought we could do is that before, in that C, we could put during the term of a building permit or the pendency of a building permit or while a building permit is active, something like that. Put in this language and then put a new, after the building permit expires, you gotta clean it up. And put in another provision in another code that says something to the effect, Brad should look at it, that you don't get a building permit extension, you haven't done a damn thing.
I agree with that.
You know, so when somebody comes in and they do half the work and leave a big mess and then sit there for a year and they come in for a building permit extension, say, forget it, clean it up.
But
Make a
then,
new application.
but can you make them, yeah,
Yeah, what you put in there, after the termination of the building permit, you've got to clean it up,
or else what?
or you're in violation of code. So you have two choices, you go fine them a few $100 at a time, and you can go, if it's bad enough, we'll get an injunction, and so go to court. That's the most we can do in any circumstance.
Yeah, I have to change the language and then pick it up to Steve and then.
It just came to me today after I was looking at all those very complicated things, like, even though I sort of like the one in King's Point, it really gets down very nitty-gritty of what you have to do, but I don't know if you really need that.
But it's not so much about litter, things like litter,
Yeah, and the first thing,
litter.
to some extent, Brad deals with that, I believe, right? Yeah, you have to get rid of all those things, and make fence them and properly barricade them and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
What Brad should do, and what we discussed, is see what he wants to do about cleaning it up. He has the experience of knowing what may be there in a defunct building permit. And add the language, break this into two sections. They gotta keep it clean and fenced and protected, or you guys enjoy the course of it. And once that building permit expires, you have an affirmative obligation to clean it up when you're in violation of the zoning code.
And let's make sure we include construction materials, vehicles, and dirt piles.
You gotta get a foot stiff.
Okay, good. Well, the next one is, another key change, affordable housing regulations. So we talked about this in the work session too, and we didn't pick it up again. But, this was, so my understanding is that I know we haven't had a court signed by the code yet, and now we will. Now we're gonna have, and Jim's here is building that development in Montauk Highway. And, formerly known as Patio Gardens. Is there a new name?
It's the Gables at West Hampton. Something.
Okay. And so now that's what prompted us to take a look at the code, and since we're coordinating with the town, we wanted our code to be similar or pretty much mirror the town code. So Beth Baldwin at Steve's office went through and just made these changes to our code so that it does mirror the town code. Basically, that's what's happening. And so, you know, we looked at it, and so you had a few little like tweaks, but you pretty much it took what's in the town code and it's inserted in here.
All the easier.
Yeah, we have to work with
Out the door, but it's
towns, it makes sense to be in the same rule. Yeah, they do. They're just looking for something in the area. It's not, it's in our village. It should be the same, just outside.
And on a related note, we talked about opting into the town's community housing fund. And we got a resolution from the attorney to do that, if we wanted to do that at the December meeting. Yeah, that's it. But yeah, that's it.
Here,
Because,
it's here in spirit.
there's no downside to opting in. Just,
So
you're gonna get taxed on the transfer of property, whether the village opts in or not.
Yeah.
That's gonna happen, the money's there, so if we opt in, we get a seat at the table to talk about what happens to the funds.
that was all good.
Yeah. Tony thought we already did it, but we didn't. Well, we got it, so sent it around again. Everybody can just look at it for the, we're not hearing or anything. It's just a resolution for the December meeting. But was there, there was,
We-
yeah,
I can-
you could just give them to Beth and she can revise it.
Or take consideration. of these things.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing that was the paragraph at the top that we would think should come out, because it's a little, got a lot in it, but Tony thought it was important. I asked her why did they refer to NASA Suffolk? Why did they refer to NASA Suffolk instead of just Suffolk? And she said it was because it's, that's the. Yeah. Okay, and the last item on the agenda is, you may recall, I did come and ask if he would put some of those trees in the bridge he had donated to them. They were gonna loan them to us for us to put out. Oh, by the bridge. Ralph, I mean, they West contacted you or?
Yeah, we had just more conversations with, Christian Partner for Insurance and for people think we just wanted the most reliable, easiest route. Yes, we can explain them, how do we do it, clean out that, and it's evolved to be a lot easier if they just donate them to us, they become ours. And then we have responsibility for them, we can place them at our leisure, and I think part of it should be, I think they would prefer their place somewhere on Beach Lane. There's some question about the bench locations. So the third option is further down where the parking area is widened, further south, potential LWP parking walkway is going to be eventually. And that's definitely our property, so that's. I think all the historical society cares, it's somewhere on each one. Leave it up to us. If they become our property, then we decide where, how to.
And they're good with us taking possession of them.
Yeah.
Property. Yeah.
He said they'd rather give them to us than lend them.
Okay.
So that's really why.
I like them closer to the bridge personally, but I know we brought up last meeting, property barriers and things like that, so whatever works.
Very.
You're three on.
The width of the road is variable. And at some point, the county sidewalk and the benches on the west side of Beach Lane as you approach the bridge, is a couple of benches. Those are most likely not within the ring. They're most likely on county or state land.
That's
So
what we talked about.
probably shouldn't be putting more things exchange would mean, even though exchange stops, but on paper, there's a 50-foot right of way that connects, and there's almost like an intersection cut out each lane, and that's where we have that extra parking.
Yep.
It's that area where is most decidedly part of the right of way, so it's on our property, and it makes it nice. You can have a little stand for information, and it's also people can park there. And if we ever do that walkway thing through the that area there, that would be a starter.
It's still,
That's true.
You still
the actual, yeah, the original location of the bridge is still visible from that location as well.
Yeah.
Or you can ask the county if they want them and they want to put them there, we'll put them in for them. But I like the idea that they're close to the block too.
The county gave them to the historical
They want So we would just do a donation letter and a resolution accepting possession if the board was inclined to. approve it.
Really has no value. It's not like you get land or valuable land, somebody's giving you tax deduction. Just something in the nature of like the bill saying, here's yours. You know, what you're ready for. Now you give the particulars, describe it and. Okay. But the village, I mean, the historical society got from the county?
Yeah. I guess we need a program of some sort, even if they got county.
Get us whatever the county gave.
We could say like that.
Yeah, what we could say is that, you know, they haven't received title county. They're now donating it or gifting it to the village as a story. And
I'll do a resolution, I'll see what West. I'll find out from West what they have.
yeah, if you have it, if the county gave them a document, that's all I really.
And I sent you the resolution we did for the windmill in the letter we
It
gave
has to
them.
be that complicated, actually. Well, no, that was very simple. It was just a letter that you acknowledged.
And then the resolution, yeah.
But this resolution would be a lot simpler than the one with the windmill, which incorporated some of the,
But I think they're still interested in providing signage and explanation for them when they're on this.
the historical society. Yeah. Well, they want to give it, village can accept it. Maybe they may want to tell you, but they're the responsibility to put it up or something. If you can accept it, you accept, no strings attached.
So Jim, I know you're gonna wanna move forward with that new project, so.
Yeah.
So,
The way I had a public hearing on the law.
I don't know why we couldn't do it, you know, again, right? We have time to notice it and that's already drafted and we've had it for a while and there was just a couple of tweaks you might have, but depends if she could turn it around.
What project are we talking
The affordable housing code,
about? Oh.
yeah. I forgot, I didn't wrap that up. Yeah, get rid of the pilot.
There's, better be careful. After those things.
Rates. So I don't know if that would be right. I assume you're just copying the book down.
They don't. Doesn't pay to make it any different.
I agree.
Especially because they might administer.
They're gonna do the, you know, they let them do the administration for a while.
Yes.
There's a full-time scale.
I'm just pointing out that when we adopt this code, there's rates that we need to adopt as well, otherwise we'll have.
No, the rates have to be done by the local law, they have to be done by the commission.
According to this code by resolution.
Okay. That we prefer.
There are some changes, send it over to you guys, the two of you. And you can circulate it so that by the time Lynn's notices. It should be form. Here.
I probably gotta notice it like tomorrow, because I know there's an early deadline, it's Thanksgiving next week for the papers, but I have to get it, at least tomorrow, Friday, the latest, so, yeah.
You don't have paper.
I don't know,
How early?
Comes out on the fifth.
yeah, so I have to get it to them early, and
Yeah.
They would be doing it like, you got it in a day or two.
Yeah. That's okay. With the law like this, I don't put the law in the notice. I just put it's available on the clerk's office.
Yeah, it's gotta be.
Yeah, well, that's it, yeah. Yeah.
By the time you.
Wednesday, you'll hit the paper Wednesday, right, Bill? No?
We should try to get it done.
Okay.
Well, okay, you have it, the time. It's not gonna go up the next week anyway.
Yeah.
Can't say it's available. Clerk's office.
Maybe.
Maybe.
After Wednesday, maybe.
Late on the newspaper.
Yeah.
We meant explanation.
And we're getting bids, not bids, requests for the bid specs are coming in on the windmill. How many did you send out already?
It's certainly 10-12.
Unbelievable. But are they qualified? That's the
That's the
thing.
thing. Well, one guy
Probably not.
See,
one guy emailed today, said they wouldn't be bidding on it, so.
Uh,
Yeah. We'll see.
yeah, when they get the packet, that's when they see, you need to have done two windmills or
Yeah, yeah.
historic structures, and so
Yeah.
that will drive that. But, fine.
Hope we get at least one bid.
What else, guys? Anything? All right, yeah.
So, congratulations.
Bigger, but not that. They already did. No, I really like to leave, I just rather than say. The town we helped too.
So.
Yes, lives here.
Experts are on the roll. Yeah.
we won't see pressuring you.
All the money in the CPF.
Oh, we want some of that.
Come on in. Yeah, normally you go to Japan. So. It will just, I mean, it's not that you can fill out the meeting.
No, we still have a
Um,
meeting.
Going out any other comments?
We don't need a work session in December.
No, but maybe we should. We have a lot to do. Brad was like, how many meetings are we gonna have every day now, trying to get everything done?
I mean,
It's a lot to do. That's just the short list. All right, well, we don't do a motion, please, and no. Thank you, everybody. See you in December for the next meeting. What, did I forget something?
like,
Bye, Tim.
Yeah.